Oh my gosh, man. No. But these changes do not move us towards the rainbow at all. They do not. They move us, if anything, actually sideways and potentially even backwards. There's a chance, don't take my word for it, that tank will feel even worse after this. We'll be stronger, but it might feel worse. Let's be very clear about setting expectations. Please develop your own opinion about these patch notes if you guys can before we look at it. If you have not looked at the patch notes, develop your own opinion. I know a lot of you guys have probably already been spoiled by looking at somebody else's reaction before going into mine. That's understandable. Keep in mind that a lot of this stuff is, number one, subjective. Not entirely. A lot of it is objective. I like to think so anyway. But a lot of it is subjective, and also a lot of the stuff is untested as well. I think that we can probably make a pretty good prediction about whether it's strategically right, but I encourage you guys to form your own opinions. Michael Myers, thank you for the sub. And that's ominous. Give your own opinion. Now, I'm going to give you my honest opinion. If it's bad, it's bad. And I'm going to tell you why it's bad. But I'm encouraging, for your benefit, to not just regurgitate what I say. Think about it on your own. I've been wrong before. Maybe I haven't been wrong before. It's a joke. But just think about things with fair, not just because these could possibly, it just, you might, I want people's enjoyment of the game to be your choice, not something that's, force fed. That may not be your own. I actually am working on a video on this topic. Not that him. Thank you for the sub. We know tanks, we're going to get some buffs here. I'm a little bit concerned. I'm also working on a video where I'm going to talk about why tanks don't need buffs. Okay. We'll talk about why tanks don't need buffs a little bit later. They need adjustments, but we'll take a look here. First off, you guys have not seen the Overwatch Transformers trailer. It was beautiful, really, really cool. I'm not a Transformers or cartoon guy at all, really, but I thought it was really, really cool. I thought it was really, really cool. So if you haven't checked that out, I highly recommend you do. And some of the skins look like they have promise as well. Summer Games, don't care. Honestly, could not possibly care less. I've never been a big fan, but that's just me. Introducing mythic weapons. The mythic bound demon skin changes basically your gameplay. This is timed pretty well. That's all I'm going to say here. This is definitely calculated here. So, new mythic weapons, cool idea. I'm a big fan. Go for it. This is coming off of I gave the last patch an A. So, introducing player surveys. You may participate in a web-based. We've talked about this from the defense matrix where people would be able to participate in surveys about their game. That's great. More feedback is always good. Even if it's just short feedback, it definitely could be used. Spilo Fin to cry. Hero updates. Armor flat damage reduction increase from 5 to 10 per projectile. Still caps at 50%. Okay. I would need to see the numbers run. Let's go through the heroes right now. Is it the same with Diva? It's the same, right? So are there any tanks that are affected? Doomfist will be affected, yes, because his pellets do more than 10 damage. Orisa is nerfed more. Maybe. Where's the SK clip? Can somebody post the SK clip, please? You can drop it in chat. Sigma primary is affected, yes. Ramattra I don't think is affected. Ryan Firestrike. Ryan is affected, small. Okay, let's check this out. Now, I would like to go over every hero. I don't want to look at this. This is just goofy, like... I mean, that's just... Okay, whatever. That's pointless. I mean, it's funny Twitter engagement, but it's pointless. It is not going to affect Mauga, I don't think. It will affect Sigma. It will not affect Winston. It will not affect Wrecking Ball, nor will it affect Zarya. Yeah. So is it just Orisa and Doomfist that are major, and a little bit of Sigma, a little bit of Rein? Doesn't mean only Orisa? Doesn't Doomfist do more than 10 per pellet? Doom pellets are only 5 damage. Oh, didn't know that. Okay, my bad. Yeah, so small nerfs to Ram Pummel, Rein Pummel, but also like cuts both ways, really. Okay, so good to know. Damage. It's a nerf. So this feels targeted towards burst damage versus armor, because that was one of the problems with the armor change, is that a lot of burst damage was back to like its original efficacy. Ash is pretty well unscoped. Unscoped definitely matters. Definitely matters with Ash. Bastion. Does it matter with Bastion? Did Bastion bolts do that much damage? 1 damage. Yeah. Cassidy, pretty significant nerf. Not a massive nerf, but it's a noticeable. Echo is a very significant nerf, I think. Echo and Genji, probably the biggest two so far, no? Yeah, and Fan the Hammer. Yeah. Echo and Genji, pretty interesting. Hanzo Storm Arrow. Yep, pretty noticeable for that as well. Obviously, like the Junkrat May, pretty noticeable. Sojourn. What's Sojourn damage here? Yeah, anything that's approaching 20 damage feels like it's going to get significantly nerfed. Soldier, probably nerfed pretty badly, right? Unaffected with Sojourn. Okay, Sojourn's saying Soldier, no, right? Soldier's gutted, right? Got it. Okay, Sojourn was only real. Soldier, Genji, Echo, maybe. Please don't take my word for this. You're gonna have to go and test these numbers. I'm not completely familiar with all the individual damage numbers. Yes, cast Fan the Hammer, 100%. Tracer's unaffected, because she already did under 5. Did I miss any major ones? Obviously, like characters like Hanzo and the like, I've lost a little bit of damage. Not major. BAP? Yeah, what's BAP damage at? BAP damage feels like it's going to be in trouble, no? Ooh, 25 per shot. That's a rough break point. BAP is pretty gutted. So basically, originally we were at 30% of 25, which meant that you were at 17.5. And then that got increased to 20. That's a terrible color. With the new armor change, and now that's going to 15. So it's not like much worse than it used to be, right? But it is going to be noticeable, right? Like this, it's basically old armor, 17.5, new armor 15. If I'm doing my math correct here. Yeah. EDRA. Noticeable. Kiriko, probably serious trouble. Not a huge deal with Kiriko because body shots and tank was pretty bad regardless, like almost not even worth doing, but it is worth noting. Lifeweaver, probably not affected. Lucio has to be gutted, no? What is Lucio's projectile right now? Is it 18? Okay. So 18 with the old thing was down 30%, right? Or was it 25% chat? Can anybody remind me? So 4.25. So 13.75 was the old armor. It was 30%? Okay, so then never mind. So it was 30% of 18 is 54, so 5.4. So it's 12.6 was the old armor. Then it was increased to 13 with the new armor. With the brand new armor, though, it's reduced to 8. That might be the hardest one yet. That might be the hardest one yet. Yeah, not exactly something that Lucio is going to be spending a lot of time shooting on, but it is going to be very palpable. 9? I thought you guys said 18 per projectile. Oh, it's capped at 50%. You're right. I'm sorry, chat. You're right. 9. You're right. 9. It's capped at 50%. But yeah, I mean, that's still like, that's a pretty nasty nerf. Moira, whatever. Zenyatta, actually pretty big for Zen too, right? Because what is Zen? 60 damage body shots, somewhere in that vicinity. So that was dropped to 55, and now that's going to be dropped to 50. So that's going to be one of the more sizable nerfs that you're going to see, as well as Zen spam on tank 2. Yeah, I'm including Discord in that calculation. So, why is this change? My initial reaction upon seeing it was a little bit of confusion, a little bit of concern, but I think it's trying to make armor more broadly affected versus burst damage. But I don't know why we moved away from 30% in the first place, because that's basically the same result. I'm trying to chat. I feel a little. I didn't sleep super well last night. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. What was the original reasoning behind moving away from 30%? What am I missing? Oh, yeah, I mean, come on, bro. Yeah. So it was like, oh, okay, that's right. It was like individual burst, right? Tank busting. Tank busters. So if I had to critique this, I think I don't like making systemic changes to fix individual problems. I just really don't like systemic changes to fix individual problems. It's the same reason why I don't like... I'll get to the developer comment in a second, Alt. I appreciate it. I didn't realize there was a developer comment. I'm sorry. I'm just dumb. I'll look at it in a second. But I don't like systemic changes to fix these problems. If Bastion's a problem, if Reaper's a problem, address those problems. Those are the old patch comments. Oh, armor is being reverted to its original functionality to better for rapid fire damage. Okay, great. Thank you, Alt Key. Yeah, I don't know. Enemy health bars on display when they're at low health threshold. Wow, that's pretty interesting. The armor changes have had a positive impact on which heroes and damage types are slowed down by armor health. We're increasing the damage direction to further widen the pool of heroes that are significantly affected by armor's defense. Okay, so this is pretty much what we expected. This is specifically targeted to have a bigger impact on characters like Pharah, like Hanzo, like Zenyatta, like whatever else at putting pressure on tanks. The low health threshold, I don't know. It's probably something that's programmed in the game where they take the deep breath, you know, I think it's around like what, 25, 30% HP. So I am not a fan of this right now. Not right now. I'm concerned. I'm too concerned at the unintended consequences of this. Like the Genji nerf. Genji did not need a nerf at tank pressure. I honestly don't think Echo needed too much of a nerf in tank pressure. I think Echo tank pressure has been, since Overwatch 2, reasonably fine. I don't like this. I'm scared. I'm scared that this is going to have unintended consequences. So we will reserve judgment, but I am skeptical so far. Tank roll passive. Ultimate generation. Oh, no. Grumpy Monk, thank you for the sub. This is a good change.
We are hatching.
because this was way too much. 30 to 50% was way too much. But I do not agree with this change. This is, in my opinion, one of the worst passives in the game because it's the passive that you feel the least. It's the passive you feel the least. I agree with what it's intending to do. It just doesn't do it. It just doesn't do it. You should be discouraged from shooting tank all the time. But this doesn't solve the problem. I don't know. Is it even a bad thing though? Is it just harmless? I don't know. I don't know. I'll put it this way. This is at potential nothing burger change. It doesn't fix anything though. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't fix anything. It's harmless, but it doesn't fix anything. So at best, it's a neutral. So, yeah, I had addresses supports as well, but yeah, okay. I don't know, man. We have to, at some point, you cannot avoid the psychological aspect of tanking anymore. We can't. I'm going to reserve judgment, full comments until we finish this review. But you can't. We can't keep playing buff, nerf. You have two choices. You either make the tank less psychologically imposing, or you make give more tank more counterplay options, but without buffing the raw survivability and damage of the role. Those are your choices, and probably need a little bit of both. You can't. You can tweak these numbers till the cows come home. It's not going to change. We'll keep going here. The maximum duration of defense matrix increased by half a second. Oh, no. The maximum duration of defense matrix is increased by half a second. Thank you. By reducing the rate at which the resource matrix drains when in use. So it won't take longer to regenerate. No. Defense matrix is the worst defensive cooldown, arguably out of all the dive tanks. Maybe it also bleeds into, it's one of the worst defensive cooldowns, period. Matrix it's not because Matrix is fundamentally flawed, it's just kind of fundamentally flawed in 5v5. Because while it was not broken, but very strong, probably broken in 66, it had a lot more dynamics and purpose. Right now, Matrix just isn't that good because you can't shoot and Matrix at the same time. So what ends up happening is Matrix is just there for the diva to live, but it doesn't really help her make plays. She's not allowed to really do a lot with the Matrix. In addition with that, Matrix as a peel tool is either ridiculously broken or it's totally useless because peeling in general is not as much of a priority for tank. It's just not good. My biggest suggestion with Diva was allowing her to shoot while matrixing, but just do a significantly reduced amount of damage or to move away. But more matrix, or even reduce the matrix and give her more speed while she's shooting or speed while she's repositioning. But this is not the direction you go. No, not the direction. Increased damage on micro missiles will help the ability feel relatively more impactful against larger health pools. I think this is more in response to... This is definitely in a response to the fact that her tank damage got kind of tanked, no pun intended. So I'm fine with this change. I guess it's whatever, you know, considering that she got pretty hard nerfed. But Yoku, thank you for the sub. But I don't know. This is not an auspicious start. Most of Doomfist's survivability is through his excellent mobility, but this boosts his passive overhealth generation, allowing him to stay in the fight longer before disengaging, especially when hitting multiple targets with his abilities. Overhealth gain per target increased from 35 to 40 HP. Sure, it's fine. It's not the end of the world. Love you too. Again, it doesn't really solve any of what Doomfist struggles with, but there's worse things. Delay before overhealth begins to drain increase from 1 to 3 seconds. Yeah, I guess. Like, this is like fine, I guess. Again, when I think when we're thinking about like, okay, let's pause really quick here. What is a patch supposed to do? What is a patch supposed to do? In my opinion, a patch is either supposed to solve a problem entirely, which is generally unrealistic and happens very rarely, usually like around reworks, or it's supposed to walk us towards the solution, right? Like walk us towards and so the thing is like you need, we got a little rainbow going on here. You need a goal. Like you need a vision about like, this is optimal Overwatch. We don't have the resources to get there just yet, but this is a step in that direction. A good example, I think, was the Pharah rework. It was incomplete. She's still very spammy, but she's a much more interesting character. We have a vision of what the character's supposed to look like, and we're a step closer, much healthier. Is she great where she's at right now? But she's better. We're getting there, right? What's the goal? Is this going to help Doomfist? What is Doomfist's problem, chat? What is Doomfist's problem? What does Doomfist need? Right, if anything, it's CC. And maybe some bug fixes. Which, to be fair, the bug fixes have been coming, but it's been like chain CC. This doesn't help. This just makes him stronger. It's feast or famine. Right. What is D.Va's problem? Right? D.Va's problem is a lack of playmaking potential consistently. Thank you for the 100 bits. I appreciate it. Like a lack of playmaking potential, right? Like she's unable to take a lot of offensive action. You know what D.Va's problem was not? You know what D.Va's problem, or she's also a little slow as well, I will say. But you know what D.Va's problem wasn't? Matrix, living, for projectiles that you can eat. This isn't a problem. You know what this is, chat? Here's the best analogy that I can give. The best analogy is, it is the equivalent of a neglected child of a rich parent. And the kid is neglected, and the parent just buys them a car or buys them another iPad. That's the problem here. The kid is neglected, and what do you buy? You buy them an iPad. Yes, it's a buff, but it's not what we need. It just makes the kid even more spoiled. Do you think Doomfist, when he gets chain CC'd, is going to go, thank goodness for that extra 25 HP that I have here? Do you think D.Va, when she's getting, basically run around and out tank traded and beamed, that she's going to go, thank goodness for that extra half a second in Matrix? It doesn't fix the problem. I don't know what the end goal is in sight for a lot of these changes. And I'm concerned that even if you go back to the threshold here, what is the end goal? Is it just to make tank tankier? I don't agree with that vision, but if that's the case, we probably need to look a little bit at their damage too. Like, we're getting tanky value and we're getting damage value. You're just making tank broken. And the problem is I would argue that tank is already the strongest role in the game. It just doesn't feel like it. And I think that the complaints with tank are not with the strength of the role, but with the how much it get focused, how much of the forefront of solo tank is in the Overwatch 2 experience. And if you don't address that problem, it doesn't matter how many knobs you tweak. It doesn't even matter how well designed the character is. It just doesn't work. Tank counterpicking will be worse because they have... Now, I don't know if that's the case, but you might be right. You might be right. Like, to use a Sumito argument here, what does D.Va hate playing versus? Zarya. Okay, on a flat map versus Zarya, that's what D.Va hates. All right, this doesn't freaking help at all. At all. What does Doomfist struggle versus? CC. This doesn't freaking help at all. So, at least so far, you are right. This will only exacerbate counterpicking. Because now we have made a role even more powerful, but yet not increase their ability to counterplay what they're weak versus. And I challenge Alec and not just Alec, but the developer team, to practice what you preach. You talk about how you want to make hard counters less impactful. You need to be looking at how your patches and whether they're actually addressing that problem at all, or if they're just making characters stronger. Making characters stronger just pushes them in different directions into their already tight niche even more so. Practice, this is not doing what you said it would be doing. You need to address the pain points exactly of the character. It's not doing that. Junkerqueen. Junkerqueen is relatively small and fast for tank hero, so commanding shout doesn't need a ton of bonus help to be effective. What? Why does it say it doesn't need a ton of bonus health to be effective, and then did they increase the bonus health? What? Does it mean that like we were thinking about doing it more? Is it not? Are they apologizing for not doing more? I mean, again, it's just a buff. You know, it's what are the pain points for Junkerqueen? I actually think, okay, so here's my take on Junkerqueen. I think with the speed, with her knife, I think she has enough counterplay options most of the time versus the besides the worst offenders. I think Junkerqueen is more of an environmental victim. I wouldn't change a lot with Junkerqueen, frankly. If she's underperforming, that's not her fault. I think she's just like fine as is, but fix what's around her. But yeah. Wound, damage, self-healing multiplier, another buff. I don't hate this one. It does reward skill because, again, this does take skill to do. So I'm fine with it. But again, like, you know, it's not going to... Yeah. Okay. Mauga. Cardiac Overdrive is Mauga's primary tanking ability that keeps him in the fight, but the previous duration was difficult to counter. It is now a more potent effect with the shorter duration, increasing the importance of choosing both the right moment to use it, as Mauga when trying to mitigate as an enemy. Overall knockback damage increased. Okay, I'm glad we're leaning into more of this playstyle. Okay, I want to be very clear. We're going to critique these things from two standpoints. From a character design standpoint and from a tank standpoint. This doesn't really help Mauga much from a design standpoint. From a macro perspective. Thank you for the sub, by the way. But it is fine for a design standpoint, like encouraging him more to use this here, as long as we see something with the cardiac. Cardiac drive reduced from 5 to 3 seconds. Sure. Lifesteal increased. Damage reduction increased. Allies now receive only half the lifesteal and damage reflection. This is fine. Yeah, it's bad. But I like the overhealth more than the lifesteal, frankly. What is this clip from Mace?
Ready for the cage fight.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Oh yeah, I'm not taking any damage. I didn't take a.
Yeah, this is definitely a professional Overwatch response where the cardiac overdrive was like kind of broken. Gosh, man. I'm kind of on the fence with this one. I don't know if this is a step in the right direction. It's definitely not an end goal here. Yeah, after this, screw it. Send me the Hydrant clip. I'll pull it up. I would prefer the old thing. Remember they had the overhealth they gave him when he popped cardiac? I like that better because that's like not, you don't have to lifesteal to get the value. So it means that if you want to use the slam, you can use the cardiac for the heal. You get what I'm saying? You don't have to slam in, then shoot tank for the cardiac lifesteal. Whoops. I don't love this. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know. I will reserve judgment. It definitely significantly increases his vulnerability window. Like this is a huge nerf. 5 to 3 is a big deal. But I don't know. It's just going to make him almost, like not almost invulnerable, but it's going to make him pretty invulnerable in a lot of situations. And I don't know if they're going to necessarily, I don't think this necessarily encourages him to shoot squishies anymore, right? Like the thing with Mauga has always been, he needs the cardiac to give him some sort of overhealth. He needs the total amount of lifesteal available reduced, but make it easier to access so that if he needs to, he can actually heal off of shooting squishies a little bit easier, right? That paired with this, and then probably not so quite a heavy damage reduction, would probably be a much better direction, I think. Yeah, I think the design does have a lot of limitations, but I don't feel like this is really a step in the right direction without testing it. It might be a sideways move. It might be a sideways move.
way! No way! No.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. I hate giving that kind of stuff attention. Like, I know it's like engagement bait, but yes, that's dumb. But it's like such a niche circumstance. It's like, let's put it this way. We don't have to use clips like this to say this is not it. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to. You guys remember the Mercy clips from the season 9, the Metro ones and Vaxta with the pistol size, right? Like I don't have to stoop to that to tell you that this probably isn't it. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to. It's still funny though. But yeah. We'd have to be careful because people will take that and run with it. You know what I'm saying? So like let's be educated with our criticisms. I'm not saying you don't criticize. We're doing plenty of that, but we don't need to do that. It is, but yeah, it's hilarious. The problem is people take that and run with it, like I said. Okay, the fortified javelin spin abilities were weakened further than necessary when Orisa was overly dominant. She's not been performing well. From what I've been seeing, she has been performing really poorly, which I don't really care about, but you know. But in the patch where we're broadly adjusting how backfill the rules, there's room again to return some of fortifies. This just isn't it, man. This just isn't it. Again, what's the end goal? What's the end goal? Where is the rainbow for Orisa, guys? Where is the rainbow for Orisa? Where is the rainbow? Right? Where's the rainbow? You want my honest opinion? I'm gonna cook a little bit because this character's bad. I think what Emong did with this character was probably closer to what you'd want. I'd love to see Halt back. I'd love to see Javelin Spin on like a 7-second cooldown. I love Javelin Spin to give her a little bit of verticality. You guys know where I stand on that. I love Fortify to be like a 10-second cooldown that allows you to headshot her. And also tightens your spread. So you have to choose. Do I want to use Fortify to poke because it's really good for Vogue? Oh no, now that's my defensive cooldown. I would then also like her health pool to be decreased a little bit. Like you could have like this brawly, like this whole like, I mean, the comboing javelin. Like there could be something there, right? There could be something there. That rainbow sucked. Thanks. Anything, right? Like at least they have a vision. Even if you don't agree with me, at least it's a vision. What is Orisa's vision? Right? You have a character that is hated. And I just don't understand the vision. And the thing is like, you don't even need to be like, all right, we have to have Halt. Otherwise, it's a bad patch notes for Orisa. No, that's fine. But you know what's not Orisa's vision? Fortify moving at the speed of like a slug. If you want to give Orisa a buff, reduce the penalty on Fortify speed. That's one of the worst changes we've had in the past 6 months, was not nerfing Fortify, but nerfing the Fortify speed. Because you actually pop Fortify literally just to survive. You don't make any plays with it anymore. So if you leave Fortify to short duration, heck, make it shorter, but allow her to move at a normal speed. So you can actually have to choose whether it's survive versus push. Now it's just survive. And now we've just made that even more so. There's no vision here, you know? It's no vision, right? There's no dynamics of choice here, you know? She now just have more living case now. More tanky, you know? I don't know. In that case, would Orisa be able to be a headshot while ulting? Yeah, you'd have to do some tweaks to that. Absolutely, we've thought about that. I just don't understand. Okay, Ramattra, bonus armor and oh my gosh, man. No. Nemesis form survivability is not a problem. Not a problem. If you wanted to power creep Ramattra, you, if anything, would lean into the cooldown of his shield or reduce the HP. We've talked about, I've made a million videos about Ramattra and a lower cooldown shield, but it's a lot squishier, a vortex that you could detonate mid-air. If you were to buff anything, heck, Nemesis form, let him stay at 225. Heck, nerf it to 200, but give him 5% more movement speed so that you don't, this is just great. I just don't understand. This is the worst about this is going the wrong direction. We're going backwards, guys. We're going backwards. This character already had immense survivability in Nemesis form. And I don't want to hear, oh, but now he can go more aggressive with that. No. You could have done that without giving him more raw frontline survivability. No. This is not it. You just get more and more and more armor and more HP. So not only are we power creeping here, but we're often power creeping in the wrong ways, right? This is fine. It's power creep, but it's fine. This is largely fine. Power creep, but, you know, okay, fine. Fine, I guess. Problematic, right, to say the least. And then no, and then no. Reinhardt. One of the core designs for Reinhardt's ability to hit with the shield his team. In the past, we've reduced... The hilarious thing about this, chat, this is the best part. I'm not going to even read these Reinhardt changes just yet. The best part about this, how many of you guys have seen Reinhardt Winston meta coming in, boys? Reinhardt Winston meta coming in. Here it comes. Reinhardt meta, Winston meta coming in. What do Reinhardt Winston struggle with? Tanks. Tanks. Reinhardt versus Orisa versus Ramattra. Winston versus Roadhog versus... And look at what's happening. Now, Winston, I think that the general common offenders with Winston, I mean, we haven't gotten to Roadhog just yet, I will say. But so far, none of these things really interfere with Winston too much. Mauga's a little bit of a problem, right? But, you know, Ryan's okay, we'll have to see the buffs. Let's see the buffs first. But there's a chance that Ryan's not going to be good here because he's going to be gate kept by the things that are even better. We've reduced the barrier health significantly in order to improve the offensive kit. That's good, but perhaps it was too much. Wait, what? We still want to avoid barrier. Oh, no. No. The wrong change. They did it. They did the wrong change. They actually baited me for a second. I read it wrong. Red Perry thing with the sub. No. He has plenty of barrier. All this is going to do is do the whole LH Cloudy, pin and backline, and hold shield. Now it's better. You can't do anything with it, but it's better. Barrier regeneration rate. No. This is fine. I guess. Sure. But no. No. He does not need more shield. No. If you want to buff Reinhardt, you make him move while shielding faster or something where he's actually rewarded for doing something. No. This isn't it. Sparks, thank you for the sub. I'm sorry, I think I missed a couple subs. This is just not it. Is this going to allow Reinhardt to play more aggressively? I guess, in the most indirect, cringe, cancer way possible. It's disappointing, guys. It's just very disappointing. You know, I wanna give people the benefit of the doubt, and I will say I really did like last patch. I really did. I just feel like this is largely a lot of buffs that aren't necessarily moving in the right direction. And I challenge you guys to please be respectful with your feedback. You know, whether it's in Twitter or Reddit or whatever, be honest. Be respectful, but I think this is moving in the wrong direction. I'm very confused at many of these changes. The thing that's striking me so far is that you could tell me that a different person came up with a lot of these patch notes as opposed to the last patch, and I would believe you. I really would. I don't think that these are necessarily going to break the game, but it is, I think, overall a negative patch. But this seems, it's odd. You know, and I think that the number of, it's not so much that the intensity of these changes is a big problem, you know? I think a lot of these changes are going to fly under the radar for the most part. I think it's more about the spirit of the change that concerns me a little bit long term. Remember the rainbow analogy, guys. What's the rainbow for tank right now? What's the end goal? What do we want this role to feel like? You know, do we want it to move into the more tankier thing? Okay, how do you make tanks feel tankier? Well, you allow them to tank. When a Roadhog or a Orisa or a Junkerqueen or a Doomfist cannot tank effectively, why? What is preventing them from doing so? How can we create skill play and allow them to tank properly? Giving Ryan more shield was never a serious problem. That's not what Reinhardt struggled with. Right, it doesn't address a lot of the issues with the role, besides just making them better. And as we've already pointed out earlier, when you make a character stronger, but don't address the weaknesses and the pain points of that hero, you actually make it even easier and more important to counter swap. Roadhog. Area damage after activation increased from 30 to 45. Recovery time reduced. Cooldown begins immediately when used instead after a short delay. I mean, it's a Roadhog buff. It's not a significant Roadhog buff, but, you know, again, was Pigpen being weak a pain point for Roadhog? I mean, actually, you know what? Screw Roadhog. Screw Roadhog. I don't even want to talk about what Roadhog is beyond saving right now, so it is what it is. Sigma, increase in damage increased. Sure. Is it a pain point for Sigma? Maybe. Yeah, I mean, maybe. A little bit more choice with who you go for. I mean, the crucial thing here is that increasing the damage makes it more effective versus squishies. So there's less of an upside of just spamming out on the enemy tank because that 40 damage percentage-wise is a much, much bigger percentage of a lower health pool. This one's fine. If it's power creep, it's power creep in a reasonable direction. Yeah. Yeah. Winston. Tesla cannon, secondary fire charge. This is a good one. We talked about this one. I really like this change. I think you could probably even buff this one. Maybe not a lot. Maybe you shouldn't buff this one. I'd have to test this. But this was a pain point for Winston, a big pain point with Winston, where this ability just really was quite bad, right? Since the Season 9 changes, and honestly was kind of here and there before that. This is great. This is great. I actually don't even hate this one too much because just of how... in general, there's a lot more attention on the Winston now. I think like if you're going to give anything raw survivability, a little bit more HP would be fine. Because remember, he did not get an HP increase in Primal Rage in Season 9. Am I correct? Am I correct? I might be wrong with that. Did he receive an HP buff in Season 9 with Primal Rage? Okay, so maybe this is a little bit too much, but I think this is okay. This is probably, these three changes have been like, okay, fine. You know, I think this one is great. I think this one's fine. This one's like, whatever. Okay. Wrecking Ball. I think this one should return to them. We're making the automatic reload ball form for... Sure. You know, quality of life stuff. Sure. Yeah. Okay. So I appreciate your comment, brain damage. But I'm gonna say one thing. I'm gonna play devil's advocate, okay, guys? Because I challenge you guys. I want to be the most mature, nuanced community in the entire Overwatch scene. I want it to be. I want to be. All right. I challenge you guys to be so. You are not going to have an opinion, an educated opinion on these changes today. It's not going to happen. You can look at something objectively and say, I don't like the theory of that. But you are not going to have an educated opinion today. You're not going to have it tomorrow. You're not going to have it this week. You're not going to have it for weeks. Now, I'm going to predict that this is not going to... It's certainly not going to fix anything, all right? But if you are going to a game right now and like, oh, the game feels terrible, you are gaslighting yourself. That is not how you will... Most of these changes are not immediately palpable enough to be able to feel different. So am I saying that you can't critique these changes? No, the reason why I'm saying that is I don't want you guys to be dissatisfied with the game state so much so that you don't enjoy the game. You could say this is a bad patch, but I'll probably still enjoy playing it a decent amount. I might enjoy playing 50% less than I did last patch, but if you're saying the game is officially dead, I'm quitting Overwatch after this patch, you're crazy. You're crazy. Thank you for the sub, by the way. So if this is the straw that breaks the camel's back for you, I understand. But don't pretend that this is night and day. This is night and day in the direction that they're going. But this isn't night and day in terms of how the game's going to feel right now. It's not possible. XI Wild. Like, thank you for the sub. It would have to be like a Mauga release patch. Kind of, you see what I'm saying? So if this is like the direction you don't agree with and you want to vote with your wallet and not play, I understand. But you're not going to immediately go, oh my gosh, the game feels 10 times worse. It doesn't. It's not possible. Spear headshot, I assume that's a bug that will get fixed. You remember those Blizzard checks and how to keep us? That's right. No, I just don't want to be like, guys, like, let's not destroy our credibility with like lazy arguments. This is not good. I give this a D minus tier so far. D minus on this. But it's still Overwatch, you know? If you guys are here You like Overwatch, okay? You maybe other games are making fun of us, but like I like the game, you know. So, no F, no. I mean, it's pretty hard to get an F tier. I don't know if I've given an F before a grade. So okay. Winston, Ragmal, we talked about this is fine. Allied overhealth transfer increased by 50%. I'm really not a fan of this change. I'm not going to lie with you guys. I know a lot of people were saying like, oh, it's just useless. It's not. It's niche, but it's a pretty significant amount of HP. What was it? I think it was okay. I think it's niche, and that's just how it is. Like, I think if you keep tweaking this too far, it becomes almost a little too strong. I was okay with it being a niche circumstance. I've coached a lot of ball since then, and I've played versus a lot of ball since then. And there are at least 2 or 3 times per game where it has some sort of impact on who I'm shooting or whether a person lives or dies. It matters. I'm just not a huge fan. And yeah, wasn't it already 75 HP? I might be wrong. It was already 75. Yeah, so I'm not sure where it's going to be right now. There seems to be a couple of like weird wordings in these patch notes so far. Oh, wait. So you're saying it uses less HP. Okay, I'm sorry. So you get the same amount of HP, but it takes less away from ball? Is that what you're saying? Got it. Okay, so this is why we need to read things carefully. It does say it pretty clearly. I'm just an idiot. Okay. Yeah, I mean, sure. I don't think it's like any way, shape, or form. I'm glad to hear that it's not what I thought it was. That's a positive for me. Definitely a positive for me. Sure. You're a genius. Thanks, man. Zarya, increase the health in those barriers. Also means total energy gain increases a boost both their offensive and defensive capability. I don't like this. I don't like this, man. 200 HP was plenty for a barrier. You can't headshot it. It takes a lot of focus fire to break it. You get. Okay. Let's talk about pain points, guys. What were the pain points for Zarya? What's the pain point for Zarya? No range, no mobility. The rocket jump thing is super inconsistent, right? Zarya is John Prost, thank you for the sub. Dark Snake Switch, thank you for the sub as well. Zarya, when you put her feet on solid ground and just shoot the enemy tank, she's pretty good, right? When Zarya is enabling somebody else with a bubble, she's already pretty good. There's not a lot of DPS that get enabled well by bubble. This doesn't change that. This just makes her what she does right now and makes her better at that. But it does not address any of the pain points whatsoever. And in fact, makes it a lot more frustrating. Playing Orisa versus Zarya now, this is going to be palpable. D.Va versus Zarya, this is going to be palpable. Damage roll passive, now only half as effective against tank heroes. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I really am not sure. I mean, this is just going to make Roadhog unkillable, right? Like, that's just a pretty it will be a noticeable change. This is going to be a noticeable change for characters like Ramattra. It doesn't address any pain points, really. The part of the focus fire for tanks is how easy they are to heal and shoot. This does not address many of those. At best, this is a neutral change. At worst, this is going to be a negative change, where it's going to be a lot harder to kill a certain amount of tank heroes who, by the way, did receive buffs this patch. Now, were the buffs proportionate? I don't know yet. I haven't gone and tested them, but this is rough. Ash gains a tank roll passive, sure. That's been suggested before. Primary fire fall-off range rescale from 25 meters to 20 to 30 meters. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Farah, explosion damage reduced. I misread. Yo, what's up, Brax? I actually think this is pretty reasonable here. You have to hit the direct for the damage. I think that's okay. Explosion knockback radius increased? Really? Interesting. Interesting here. I don't know the breakpoints enough here. Because I know it's like, oh, 2 buffs and then 1 nerf on Farah. But maybe this is like this. I've coached a lot of Farah. The damage from concussive blast is significant in finishing kills. I just don't know if this is gonna be. I don't know. Yeah, it's a breakpoint removal. I'm not sure. Yeah, it still does damage in direct. Yes. Yeah, so I don't know. Basically, what it is if you hit 2 rockets plus a conk that you miss, that was enough for a kill. Now you actually have to hit the conk for it to work, which is like fine. I just don't think you necessarily needed to buff the... certainly not the knockback radius, right? Like if you either hit it or you don't. Like we don't need to buff the radius of like... Okay, we're talking about like a pretty big radius now because 8 meters is like... We're talking about like pi r squared, right? The square footage of this knockback is pretty significant now, right? It's like, what is it? That's at least, it's got to be doubled, right? And I don't think the knockback itself needed to be nerfed. Like, I think just doing this and leaving it at that would have been fine, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I think you could, if anything, I think this could be okay. I also think that they just should have done something with the splash damage, frankly. I think if you're going to go anywhere, I actually don't even think conk is the way to go. I think you should have reduced the floor for splash damage, like, or just like reduce splash damage by 5 or 10 damage or something like that. Ana, duration of tech and tank heroes decreased. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. I mean, it's a very small change, but like, why? It's like one of the relatively skillful CCs. It feels like we're being punished because Roadhog and Mauga have no counterplay to Sleep Dart when that's a character design. Every other tank has some form of counterplay to Sleep Dart. It's one of the only skillful CCs in the game. Right, exactly. Sleeping Bob now is... Well, it's not a waste. It's just not as broken, but... Allies no longer see the destroyed UI when healing pylon breaks. Yeah, that's good. Ultimate cost for Transcendence reduced. Sure, that's fine. Bug fixes, 6 rank progress bar, voice and text, reset, screen tearing, dead-eye tracking phases, self-destruct, behind barriers. Alright, guys. I hate to do it. You missed the audio changes at the top? Where? Where? At the very top? Oh, here we go. Adjust the volume level of health pool impacts. When shooting enemies with base health, shields, or morale, may the sound closer to what type of health you're damaging. Okay. This is the best change of the entire patch. This is the best change of the entire patch. I want to go into the practice range and try this out. This is something that I've suggested in the Content Creator Discord and I suggested in a video a long time ago. I'm very happy to hear this because this is what gets people shooting armored targets is because it sounds the same. Now, I would also like it if they did it to reduce damage targets as well. So I'm glad to hear this. This is this is a rainbow change. This is a rainbow change. This is a possible help. It's not a solution, but it is a help towards making tank a little less attractive to shoot when it's not effective. This is the equivalent of an effective psychological change of this. Your number going at the bottom of your screen, not going up as much, is so subtle that people won't notice this. This is the opposite of subtle. This is, in theory, is in your face. This is good. This is the best change here. Yeah, shooting Vaping Hog is still a problem, right? They need to do something about the damage reduction. But that's our grade. That's our grade. I was going to give it D-. until the audio change, and I will go test this out. But without testing any of these things out, initial impression grade, D. Initial impression change, D. One of the lowest patches that we've had in a long time. Disappointing direction with many of the tank things. Doesn't really deal with pain points. Doesn't deal with a lot of the issues that tank, like the solo tank experience. I'm not confident unless, okay, here's the copium. The copium is that this is just mixing things up, giving tank players what they want until we actually figure out what to do with solo tank. That's the copium. All right? What's the opposite of copium, guys? What's the opposite of copium? So the copium is that like, oh, this is just to mix things up, to make tank players temporarily happy. Actually doesn't really do anything, but Doomer, yeah. If all the people, okay, the Doomer here is that this shows that they don't know what to do with tank in a solo tank environment. That they don't know what to do with tank. So I don't know which one it is. Maybe it's a little bit of both. But these changes do not move us towards the rainbow at all. They do not. They move us, if anything, actually sideways and potentially even backwards. There's a chance, don't take my word for it, that tank will feel even worse after this. We'll be stronger, but it might feel worse.
Saw your comments on Sojourn via YouTube vid, but how do you buff her primary without
She's
her
not hit
becoming a
scan.
better soldier?
She's not hit scan. And she doesn't have the consistent repositioning of soldier. Yeah. Yep. So they don't know how to. There's the doomer here is that they don't really know exactly why tank isn't doing well, because why tank isn't doing well, as you said, a million times for a year, 2 years. I don't even know how long. Probably not 2 years. I don't think I was that smart. It's just the focus of so much attention, and doesn't have the tools to outplay that attention, and has strengths and weaknesses that are so exacerbated that you're either unkillable or in one shot. No, counter swapping is definitely not worse. I would be very confident, 97%, 95% sure, Michael. I agree with you. I would say 95% sure counter swapping is just as bad as it was before, I would say. From reading the patch notes, I don't think there were really any significant pain points addressed with, honestly, any of these. I think counters might actually be worse. Yeah, I think the only potential change, I don't know, actually. Maybe there's something like, maybe there's a calculation we're missing with the armor change that maybe helps a couple of pain points here and there. I'm not sure. There was a Javelin can headshot, yes. That's a bug. No, I don't want to do a tier list, guys. Here's why I don't do tier lists, because tier lists shift people's opinions early on. I don't want to do that. You guys go figure it out. Don't watch anybody's. I'm sorry, no offense. Anybody that does a tier list is just doing it for money. 95% of the time, especially this early in the season. I think somebody like Karku that does them later on in the season after he's had a lot of reps and practice, it's like there's at least some testing and stuff. But anybody that does a play, like maybe they don't purposely do it that way, but it's pointless to do a tier list, man. It's pointless. And honestly, anybody that even somebody like Karku doing it later in the season, it just doesn't apply to like 90% of the player base anyway. And it's just one person's opinion about a certain subsection of a certain rank. You know what I'm saying? It's just pointless. I will not do a tier list unless I actually have something interesting or helpful. Most of the time, tier lists are just going to sway people's opinions without really a lot of basis in fact. And also, my experience is not your experience either. Doing for an hour, making a tier list? Listen, buddy. There's objective versus subjective. Yeah. Let's look at some skins, guys. Let's look at some skins. Yeah. Don't again, like, make your own decisions. Draw your own conclusions. That's the last thing I will warn you on. I'm definitely a little bit sad from a philosophical side of things. I feel like now there's some concern about if we really know where we're going with the game, with tank especially. But that does not necessarily mean that the game is going to feel significantly worse. So I'm more of like a purist, you know? That's not necessarily how you guys have to feel about things at all.